Statues are a form of bullying. You'll know better than him. Perhaps it's time you both moved on.
Fair point, I suppose. If they've terrified him, as you say, he may have learned his lesson.
Mr. Moon, I've learned who's behind the demiguise statues. It was a classmate of yours that you bullied, Piers Pemberton.
Oh, I might have known. Pigtails Piers.
I don't think he likes being called that.
Of course he does. Oh, we had such flowing locks, and we used to laugh about them. I laughed the hardest of all. Clever, clever man. I'd no idea he was so devious. I must go and congratulate him. Whatever statues remain seem less terrifying now that I know they were put out by old pigtails. Continue collecting them if you like. As for me, I'm gonna go and pay a visit to my old friend.
Hogsmeade, here I come.
Glad you came.
Hello, Serena. I received your owl. How are you?
Hello, my friend. Did you ever find Lodgok?
I did, thank you. We had a good conversation. He sends you his best.
Glad to hear it. I shan't ask for details of your little chat, and I'll refrain from telling you to be careful yet again. But I hope you will be, whatever your plans.
Of course. Your owl mentioned you were needing my help with something.
I do. I thought you might be just the person to do a favour for my friend Dorothy Sprottle in Upper Hogsfield.
I don't believe I've met Mrs. Sprottle.
She's lovely. Her late husband Aidan was a friend of my father's. In fact, I'd stay with Dot and Aidan the summers I waited tables here as a student. I've seen her a few times since Aidan passed, but the pub's been so busy lately, I've not been as attentive as I'd have liked. I wonder if you might pop in and see her. She may need some help collecting ingredients for her supply of Wiggenweld potion. And you could retrieve something of mine in the process. A box, full of old letters and such.
Why does Mrs. Sprottle keep a supply of Wiggenweld potion on hand?
Dot's a skilled potioneer. She's been supplying travelling vendors with Wiggenweld potion. An ordinary precaution that has, unfortunately, become a necessity. What with Ranrock's loyalists disrupting the trade routes.
Why did Mr. and Mrs. Sprottle have your box of letters after all this time?
It's one of a few that I had when I was young. Dot found it when she was clearing out a closet. Can't imagine what's in there. Probably terribly theatrical. The ramblings of a teenage witch and her friends. You're welcome to take a peek inside, if you do find it. To be honest, I'd imagine it contains some lovely memories.
I'll try to go and see her when I can.
It would mean the world to me, and to Dorothy. Aidan was bringing the box of letters to me when he was taken ill. Dot can tell you where he might have dropped it. You'll find the hamlet just north of Hogsmeade. Please do give Dot my love.
What are you up to now?
Does it get any more cozy than Hogsmeade? The castle must have been quite stately in its time.
But you trusted the wrong kind, and we see you about to echo your folly. How is to offer our respect?
Not sure how I'd fare in a little place like this. Ah, Upper Hogsfield. Now, where to find Mrs. Sprottle?
How nice to see you, my young friend.
Shane Bardolph thought dark magic was the answer. I reckon Rookwood's played a hand in his disappearance.
Hello, Mrs. Sprottle. Actually, Sirona Ryan asked if I'd come and see you.
Oh, dear Sirona, a gem. Has been for as long as I've known her.
She thought you might need help collecting ingredients for your Wiggenweld potion.
And she's correct. My darling Aidan used to collect Horklumps for me. Since he died, my supply has dwindled.
I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Sprottle.
Oh, thank you. Love of my life. A bit lost without him. If you wouldn't mind gathering some Horklumps for me, I'd be happy to compensate you for your time.
Believe it or not, I have some with me.
Oh, thank you. How wonderful. The travelling vendors will be thrilled to replenish their stock of Wiggenweld potion.
Sirona also mentioned that Mr. Sprottle was bringing her a box of letters when he fell ill.
Indeed he was. I'd almost forgotten. I stumbled upon it just before Aidan died. He was hoping to go through it with Sirona over a butterbeer or two. Those two were always like two bowtruckles in a branch. Aidan took ill when he was collecting Horklumps on his way to see her. He made it home, but I fear he dropped the box in the cavern. The cavern is in the hills just southwest of our hamlet. You can gather Horklumps and collect the box of letters there.
Sirona said she lived with you during the summers when she was at Hogwarts. What was she like?
Goodness. Well, she was almost exactly like she is now. Charming, good head on her shoulders, taking care of everyone. I can't tell you the fun we had when she and her friends would visit us during the year, all buzzing about, practicing charms. Talented group. Her friend Mirabelle was a genius in the garden. Learned it all from her muggle parents, if you can believe it.
Do you remember anything about the letters you put in the box?
Oh, of course. A few letters from some of her school friends. Some nice memories. I even included a letter Sirona had written to me when she was staying with us. Thought she might enjoy reading it. I know when I read writing from my youth, I'm always astonished at how much I've changed, and yet remain the same.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle.
Thank you. I'll be here if you are able to collect those hawk lumps. I and the vendors I help would greatly appreciate it. Bardolph Beaumont should have returned by now. Had by dark wizards he was.
These rocks have seen better days. This must be the cavern Mrs. Sprottle mentioned. Revelio.
It's been ages since I've found anything worth poaching, Nick.
Better have a look around, see if I can find that box of letters. Incendio! That's all the hawk lumps for now. Mrs. Sprottle should be pleased. Revelio. Lumos. Incendio. Revelio. Either I'll have to fight that troll, or avoid it altogether. Think they felt that in London. Revelio. Lumos. I think that's everything. Sirona will be glad to have this back. I should take this box of letters to Sirona. She'll be glad to have it back. Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade.
But breaking into Alfred Lawley's home wasn't the brightest idea.
Hello, Sirona. I have good news. I was able to provide your friend Mrs. Sprottle with some Horklumps for her Wiggenweld potion, and I found your box of letters.
Oh, thank you. I knew you were the one to ask.